All righty. There are many, many things we could talk about today. Do you have anything specific that you would like to talk about in terms of your chart?
I was just looking at it real quick. I guess maybe anything around, does it show anything about like how I am with money or finances or abundance, like blocks or I don't know, anything to do with that? Because I think with the mini reading, we kind of talked about um my business and just how I'm having issues, like just really getting started and that kind of thing.
Awesome. We can, yes. It's a great place to start.
I mean, definitely
Okay, actually, yeah, there was something that came in here. Yes. Okay, yeah.
anything to do with
Um,
business and because I've studied a lot of healing modalities and a lot of different readings have told me that I'm a healer and so I guess I just kind of feel like I don't know what direction to really focus on. I mean, I kind of do, but I don't know.
so this sounds like an overall kind of strategy question also. Okay,
Yeah.
so there's two things that I want to talk about in terms of strategy. Did we go into strategy with your short reading?
I don't know. I
Okay, it's hard to remember. We'll go over.
yeah.
So okay, there's two things. One, so because you are a generator alchemist, your strategy is to like the way that you will come into alignment with abundance is to wait for things to appear in your external reality and respond to them with your
Right.
is this the right opportunity for me? Is this something I want to pursue?
Okay.
The waiting is really hard.
Yeah. So rather than
um
me like chasing something or trying to make something happen, wait for things to happen and then decide, is this for me or not? Okay.
exactly, wait for it to come to you,
Yeah.
wait for the universe to bring it into your reality,
Right.
and then ask your sacral, is this something I want to do? Is this
Right.
something I need to do? Is this something I should do?
Okay.
I mean, you can phrase it in different ways because sometimes when I ask my sacral those questions using those different words, I get different answers.
Yeah.
So, and sometimes I don't want to do it, but I
Right.
should do it.
Right. Right. Okay.
um, so that's you have a fairly like that's a fairly straightforward strategy as far as strategies go. I mean, the waiting is hard, but if you just it's about keeping your eyes open and following the principle of you you wherever you align your attention and your energy is what you will get out of the universe. So if
Mhm.
you are focused on abundance and prosperity, more abundance and prosperity, more opportunities for abundance and prosperity will come your way. If
Okay.
you are telling a story about yourself that is abundant and prosperous,
Mm.
more opportunities for abundance and prosperity will come into your realm.
Right.
If you are focusing on lack, if you are focusing on struggle, if you are focusing on the business not working, the
Right.
business will, there are more opportunities for the business to not work will come your way.
Right.
If you're
Okay.
telling a story about yourself that you are creating a business that's not working and it's not getting going,
Okay.
then it won't. If you tell a
Right.
story about my business, and you can literally like it's funny, you can literally just like write down, journal,
Mm.
fantastic, like completely, and actually this really aligns well with your chart. You have some deep energy about imagination and sparks of ideas. And if you just write out like a fantastical fairy tale about how amazing your business is,
Yeah.
even if you don't fully believe it when you write it, it will
Right.
still change the energy of what the universe brings to you.
Okay.
It will change your internal energy if you write that story out. And if you
Yeah.
keep rewriting that story, retelling that story, and focusing on the story that you want to have appear,
Right.
the energy will come into alignment. And yeah, so you're let me share your chart. So your where is it? Jupiter, it's this one, is in 41. And the gate 41 is down here, and it comes off the root, and you've got it in both the unconscious and conscious side. Jupiter is how you receive your rewards and your blessings. So you receive your rewards and blessings through imagination, ideas, getting the spark for ideas, and having them push you forward. So don't be afraid to just run wild with your imagination, because that's where your blessings and rewards will come from.
Okay.
So that's a like that's like some of the mechanics of manifesting through your particular chart and your particular strengths. The other thing is calibrating your sense of self-love and acceptance of yourself. That is calibrating the frequency of the identity center, the G center here, which is in the heart chakra. And also what we worked on last time, which was the will center and needing to prove yourself. Right. Calibrating those to higher frequencies by telling stories about yourself that are positive, that are good, that are abundant, and changing the stories that you're telling about yourself that are not positive or good, or like that are shadow sides of yourself. Bringing light to those shadow sides will change the frequency of what the universe offers you. Okay. So everything that there's actually so do you want to get into physics?
Sure, I like that.
Okay. So inside the earth there is a magnetic monopole. So that means that inside the earth there is a magnet that only attracts. And so it attracts up through down through the North Pole and up through the South Pole. In the human body, there's also, this is what my teacher teaches and has been theorized, and they're still trying to like get like the physics is slowly coming to agree with the fact that there's also a magnetic monopole inside the heart, in the heart chakra. And the heart chakra attracts from up above, from your soul star, from your connection to the heavens, down into your heart, and it also attracts from the earth up through your root. And so everything attracts into this center, and in this center, whatever the vibration that you hold in that center is what you bring into existence, into your reality. Now, so that's still waiting to see what shows up, seeing if you like it or don't like it. That's one part of your strategy. Telling and retelling stories about abundance and prosperity and what you would like to see manifest in your reality. And then like internalizing that, repeating it, even if you don't fully believe it yet, repeating it again and again. One of your core themes that comes up here in your this one is in your north node on your conscious side is the gate 10, and then also in your Venus, and Venus is oftentimes what you value in your relationship or in relationships in general. Both of those, so north node is you're working towards, what you're moving towards, what you can present to the world. The gate 10 is all about self-love. The gate 10 is all about self-empowerment. The more that you can calibrate the gate 10, so there's two sides to everything in the chart. There's an optimal expression and there's a shadow expression. And the optimal expression of the gate 10 is self-love, self-empowerment, to see your love for yourself as the source of your true creative power. The unbalanced expression is to question your lovability, to struggle to prove your love worthiness, to give up and settle for less than you deserve, and also to blame others for your circumstances and situations. So feeling a victim. So that's the shadow side of the 10. So whenever you feel like you are in that shadow side, it's an opportunity that the universe is presenting you to change your story, about self-love, about about your worthiness to love and be loved. And that was one of the top important aspects of your chart that comes up again and again. And it comes up in parts of your centers, and it came up in our conversation last time. And yeah.
Okay.
So that's a big theme for you, is self-love, self-empowerment, and bringing that to your, I think bringing that into your business is, and it's really interesting because it's connected to two of the most powerful gates in the chart, this 10. So this 10 makes a channel. You can't quite see it because of the way the body graph, but the 10 actually connects to the 57 here. It creates a channel to 57, and it creates a channel to the 34. The 34 is the most powerful gate in the entire chart. It is where like intense, busy energy comes from, keeping oneself busy with all the things. And it is in your chart, it's in Neptune, on the like unconscious side. And it's Neptune is all about spiritual themes, spiritual connections. So there's deep power in your spirituality and your spiritual connections. So that 10 and 34 interact together and provide you with, like, let me read you from my book. So the 1034, I've got them flagged here, is the channel of courage and having enough connection to self-love, self-worth, and awareness of what actions need to be taken to respond to an opportunity to express higher principles and fulfillment of love, and the courage to respond, taking the right actions. When it's unbalanced, the shadow side is hiding out and fear of your own power, and taking reckless actions to prove your lovability and self-worth. So that's like the shadow side. It's very much about self-love, self-worth. So that's the 3410. It's a very powerful channel. And then the 5710 is the channel of human potential. You can, with this channel, so the 57, and I want to talk about intuition in a minute, but the 57 is the most intuitive gate in the entire chart. And I want to talk about that in a moment, but the optimal expression of the 5710 is to trust in timing for the fulfillment of potential. So that's all about that waiting for the opportunities to show up. And to see the perfection in everything, and then to recognize the right time to express the potential for love and for the potential for the perfection to manifest. The shadow side of this channel is to let the fear of not being perfect stop you from moving forward in life, to stop exploring and experimenting because you might fail. All right, and so we're seeing this in let's see, the 57 is, yeah, okay. So you've got the 57 here in your Uranus, And it's a fifth line. And then the 10 is a second line and a second line. Okay. So the 57 part, a fifth line, it just augments your ability to see the potential, to see the possibilities, and really like be like project onto what you see how perfect it could be. So those two are some pretty, you have actually quite a few channels defined. So I'm not necessarily going to get to all of them today, but those two jumped out as like particularly important to talk about, because they are so powerful. Okay, so the sacral response works really nicely when you can have it in dialogue with someone. So if you can get someone to ask you like the easy question, if you have a question like, should I take this, like this isn't something that showed up in my universe, this new class or this new opportunity to grow my business or whatever it is, because you've asked the universe, hey, can I have some opportunities to grow my business, and then the universe gives you some options. If you can work with someone, and I can do it, but also you can train your husband to do it if he's willing.
Yeah.
Sometimes they can do it, sometimes they can't. It takes some time. My husband, once he realized that my daughter and I had this potential like yes no machine, he started asking us about like, well, like to predict the future, and I was like, no, it doesn't work that way. We can't do that, but we can talk about like our heart's desires. Like that's what it really gets into, is like our higher self, what our higher self wants. And so you can have like, you can give them this question, you can write it out and say, okay, I want you to ask me some like silly, like what color shirt am I wearing? Like you can even give them a script, like ask me these questions, and you just respond to them, and make sure that you're in that sacral, and then say, and then at the end pop me this last question, and make sure that the sound that comes out of your mouth, it comes out immediately, that you don't start thinking about it. If you start thinking about it, if you hesitate, go back to the beginning and try it over again. And the other thing you can do when you have like a really tricky question, once you get into the practice of this and a question comes up that feels that you're like, you can say the sounds and just feel which one feels more right. Sometimes you can trick the sacral into that and just kind of like,
what about like muscle testing or the sway method or pendulum?
Yes, if you have the ability to do those things, that was going to be my main, like one of my important questions for you. Like, how do you get intuitive messages? Are you able to use muscle testing?
I've done more of the sway method than so much of like the muscle testing, like with the fingers.
Do you get reliable answers with the sway testing?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean, I've done a lot of intuition courses, so I tend to be like more claircognizant, clairaudient, and I'll do like automatic writing.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so
all of that is a way to circumvent the yes no machine.
Okay.
Like when you have the ability to consistently tap into that information, you are tapping into the quantum field. You're tapping into like higher source.
And then I've also used oracle cards too.
Absolutely, yeah. And the more that you can, I find personally, if I can combine my intuitive abilities with yes no answers, I can get solid, clear confirmation. Like I'm using it now like on a minute to minute basis. Like, should I open my computer? Do I want to be in my office? Do I want to be at the dining room table? Like, at this point, I'm just trying to like, do I want to take a nap now? Like, I just run through all the possibilities. And if like all the answers are no, I'd be like, what do I want to do? Oftentimes something will drop into my head.
Right.
That's not a yes no question, but it's like, oh,
Mm.
like yesterday I was like, do I want to open my computer? Do I want to do this on my computer? No, no, no. Do I want to read a book on my computer? And I was like, okay. And do I want to read on Kindle? I was like, so like it took me a while to like figure out what book I was my higher self wanted to read. But it's funny because when I'm following that, do I want to watch this? Do I want to watch a video by my human design teacher?
Mm.
Which video do I want to watch? Do I want to look in this course, this course, this course? When I follow that and I watch the exact thing that my yes, no, the thing is like my intuition is saying this is where I should go, I find the answer that I am looking for at that very moment.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome.
Like
Yeah.
it's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I've been working on this project for a while and like these questions keep coming up.
Mhm.
And like I watched like this video the other day. I was like, well, there's the answer to my question right there.
Yeah.
And like my intuition took me there. So the more that you can sink into that intuition and find reliable answers. So you have a couple of really strong circuits in your chart. You have I want to talk about so there's three different types of circuits in the chart. There's individual circuitry, which is kind of like bringing newness to the world.
Mm.
It's creating it's primarily in you, and it's focusing on how do we transform the world, which fits actually really nicely with your incarnation cross, which your incarnation cross is the left angle cross of revelation. That's here, down here, or remediation. Oh, remediation. Wait a minute. This is not the right one. Hold on. I'm going to have to look up that again. Because that I was like, this doesn't make sense when I was reading it last night, and that's because I was looking at the wrong one. All right, 333 or 330, 337. Okay, let's try this again. Let's see what it says. To lead, teach, and inspire others to heal their self-worth and value story, to help others understand how to rewrite their personal narrative to reflect their true value, purpose, and worth, help people break free from the patterns of the past that keep them stuck in old protective stories and rooted in trauma, to help heal any trauma or trauma patterns that keep people settling and rationalizing and receiving less than what they want and need, to support others in taking leadership and manifesting their dreams, and cultivating a personal narrative that encompasses their true value and purpose, to help people change the direction of their lives by assisting them to heal their past and their old stories of limitation. So, all right, this doesn't lead into what I was saying earlier, but that is what you get to, that's your reward to do all that. When the more that you heal yourself, the more that you come into alignment and abundance with the universe, the more that you follow your intuition. Okay.
So being a health coach, I could do those things.
Absolutely. I think being a health coach is on your pathway to achieving that. Yeah, absolutely. So you have where was I going with this? So you have some pretty strong individual channels. The 3410 that we talked about here, this one to the 10, the 5734, the 57, so the 57 goes 34 and the 57 also goes to 10. Those are all very strong, like individual, like bringing mutative energy. You're trying to bring change to the universe, to humanity, and bringing your perspective and ability to see the higher purpose, being able to bring innovation into through your imagination and idea sparks. That is all part of your individual energy and your individual circuitry. The other aspect of it is of your circuitry. So you have strong individual circuitry, but you also have strong collective circuitry, meaning there's a lot of circuitry that has to do with relating to all of humanity and bringing a change to all of humanity. So there's like 3 different levels. There's the individual, there's the tribal, and there's the collective. Collective is all of humanity. You have 2 channels and several gates that are related to the collective of humanity. The 1858 is a collective gate, and then what's the other one? The 52-9 are both channels of improvement, bringing clarity, seeing the big picture, refining things, seeing, like I said earlier, seeing the perfection in things and bringing that and bringing the potential for that perfection to whatever system you see, whatever you're working with, to help people understand the possibility to bring greater abundance into humanity, which would be really good as a health coach as well.
Yeah.
It also means that potentially, and you also, so you have 2 channels in the collective circuitry, as well as 3 hanging gates. The 62, which is down here somewhere. Where's the 62? Where is it? Okay, there it is. It's up here on the throat. I'm not going to go through this. The 15 down here you have twice, and then the channel 7, which is here on the heart. So the 15 and 7 are both related to the collective circuitry, and particularly related to logic. My experience with logic circuitry, because I also have a lot of logic circuitry, is I ask the universe, what do I need to prove to the universe that it can exist so that I can have more of it? All right, I need to prove to the universe that I can do readings. So universe, give me opportunities to do readings so that I can prove. Because the logic circuitry is all about patterns. It's all about setting up the patterns for the universe to follow, for the brain to follow. So what patterns do I want to create in my business? I want to create the pattern that people are willing to pay me and schedule Zoom sessions on my website. How do I create circumstances where people do that? Prove to the universe that this will happen. The more it happens, the more it becomes a pattern, the more it becomes ingrained in the energy of the universe and in my personal energy. So what's the next step that I need to do to create a pattern towards the abundance that I'm envisioning, so that I can prove to the universe what do you need to know, universe, to manifest my next right step. But you also have a fair amount of you have several hanging gates in the sensing side of the collective circuitry, including the 13, which is all about storytelling and rewriting stories of the past, forgiveness as a personal narrative kind of action, forgiving as releasing stories of the old past. Your 64 gate is also part of the sensing circuit. This is all right brain kind of stuff. The sensing circuit, so the logic circuit is left brain, patterns, proving things, scientific method. The right brain is all about telling stories. It's all about using imagination, which falls into your theme of and your Jupiter of the imagination and idea sparks, using the imagination to create fantastical ideas, fantastical stories, and just being wildly imaginative because the universe doesn't know the difference between, we all focus like on the logic side of things and scientific method side of things. Our brains, the universe doesn't know the difference between fairy tales and a scientific paper.
Right.
And you have energies, like strong energies in both of those sides. The logic side is a little bit stronger, but you have the ability to manipulate the stories that you're telling yourself, both through patterns as well as through pure imagination.
Okay.
So when you use your oracle cards,
Mm-hmm.
telling stories, writing them down, using the automatic writing,
Right.
and just seeing what comes out.
So like every new moon, I always write out my intentions, and I feel like that has really helped me, in a lot of areas, like marriage and, my health. And yeah, so I always make a point to physically write out my intentions at the new moon. So that's creating patterns, right? Does that have to do with that? Is that kind of what you mean?
Yeah, I mean, if you're writing it out and then it's manifesting,
Yeah.
that's a pattern. You're
Yeah.
showing the universe, hey, I write this out, boom, it happens. And you focus. The more that you focus and you take your attention, like every time you fall into some sort of shadow experience, the more you bring your attention back to, hey, this happened. I wrote it out and it happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's like reinforcing the neurons in your brain to be like, okay, yeah, I've got that shadow work to do, but hey, there's a pattern here. And it's a pattern that you're using your right brain capacity.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know. Do you use your right brain capacity when you write those intentions? Do you like use your imagination?
I probably didn't think about it in that way. So yeah, I can try that with this new moon. And
I would say, like, be as fantastically imaginative and dream big. I mean, one of your major themes also is, it comes up in several of your gates. It comes up in the 52, which is in your south node here. It comes up in your Saturn here, is seeing the bigger picture, the big perspective. That the 52 comes off the root here. And you also have the 64 is all about big ideas. The 9, which is down here in your Neptune on this side, is all about the big picture. Like all of those things are all about dreaming big, seeing the big picture, seeing the big perspective. So you can tap into that when you do this free writing, and tap into your imaginative spark that you get in the 41 down here. Yeah.
Okay.
Because that's where your blessings flow from. Your blessings flow from your imagination, from those sparks that you get. You're like, oh, this is so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have a lot of intuitive power in your chart. The defined spleen that you have here, having splenic definition, is inherently associated with intuition. And there are particular things associated with each of the gates that you have defined. So the gate 57 here, which is the most intuitive gate in the chart, is the most like psychic gate. You have great intuition about what is to come, what is like the future. There's potential for clairaudience here. And so you may hear voices, and that's totally related to the 57. The 44 is kind of the I like how the 57 and 44 are together, because the 57 is about intuition about what's to come. The 44 is about intuition of what has come in the past.
Okay.
So you have kind of this nice balance between the future and the past, and being able to see, okay, and be wise about what has come in the past, and knowing how that affects what is to come. 44 is also frequently associated with clairolfactance, meaning like you smell things. I have this frequently. I will just get a random whiff of something and be like, and it's information for me to respond to. It's a reminder to respond to something. And it's also a really good, like some people with 44 can, you can smell a rat. And you have that in your conscious sun. Like that is one of your primary energies that you are bringing to the world, is the 44, meaning so the sun is what you bring to the table. You bring the ability to break old patterns. That's what the 44 is all about. And smelling out the truth and using your ability, your abilities to know about the old patterns, know the truth of the old patterns, and have intuitive sense about which of those old patterns are the ones that need to be broken, that you're here to break and change. And then you have the gate 7, which is the gate of collaborative leadership. The gate 7 is, so the gate 31, which is above, is the gate of democratic leadership, and the gate 7 supports it, meaning the gate 7 is all about it's like the 31 is like the president of the company, and the 7 is like the chief of staff.
Right.
It's the 7 is there to support leadership and support collaboration. It's
so
also
funny. That's been my last 2 jobs have been doing that. Yeah.
It's what you're here. I mean, it is it's your unconscious, it's your design sun. It is what you're here to bring the world, literally. Like it is what you're here to give the world. And it's also there's real power in the 7 in terms of like when in its optimal expression, it's all about you choosing and you deciding what is right for your higher purpose, what is right for your higher self. So there's important energy of choice and decision in the 7, and not just following the leader, but choosing the right steps and to help support the leader. All right, so 44, clairolfactance, back to the spleen. Then you also have the 32 define, which is really nice for you because it's intuition about right timing. So we talked about waiting for the opportunities, waiting for when is the next right step going to show up. And it's also intuition, especially about right timing for business ideas. So you have the ability to have a sense of when it's going to be the right time to do the next step. And it's, you can use your yes no machine, you can use waiting for things that show up in your reality, and then you can have these ideas like you've got this imaginative spark down in this gate 41 here. And also you have the 64 is all about the like you get like idea downloads through both the open head and ajna, but also especially through the 64. You're going to get idea downloads about how to do things. Right. And so you got to lean into the waiting and the intuition of the gate 32 to know when is the right timing for this particular idea. Because the gate 32, it's again something, it's in your Uranus, it's your conscious Uranus. The gate 32 is all about preparing and then waiting. It's the gate of endurance, but it's the gate of endurance because you will have stuff ready to go, and you'll want to get it going. And you got to wait until the timing is right. So you get everything ready to go, and then you hold on to it until the universe sends you the signal. Now's the time. And so you'll have that like intuitive sense, and using your various methods of intuition, you can tap into, like you can ask, you can free write. Is the timing right to do blah, 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 and then free write and see what comes out.
Right. Okay.
And then last you have the gate 18, which is back to correcting patterns.
Uh-huh.
You have a really good intuition about what patterns need to be corrected, what refinements need to be made for greater mastery, greater joy, greater abundance.
Hmm.
Yeah,
That's a good health coaching thing.
it is indeed. Let's see, what else did the other thing that may having also the other thing that came up is you said you had claircognizance, and that shows up in your chart in terms of on one of the individual channels as well. You have 6 hanging gates in the knowing circuit. So you have what we were talking about, the 24 a minute ago, the 24, the 43 here, the 57 that we just talked about a minute ago.
Yeah.
The 3 is, where's the 3? The 3 is down here. The 14 and the 55, the 55's here. All of those are all about are all of those help and augment your ability to have claircognizance.
Okay.
So let's see, what else do I want to talk about? What other questions do you have?
Well, so when you were talking about the olfactory senses,
Mhm.
it's so weird. Ever since COVID, and I had it twice, but the first time I lost my sense of smell and taste for like 6 months. It was ridiculous. And then when it came back, I started having that weird thing that people talked about they would get, where out of the blue they'd start smelling like cigarette smoke or garbage or rotting meat or a car exhaust. Like my big ones were car exhaust and cigarette smoke. Like out of the blue, that would be all I could smell for like a week or two at a time. I even Googled it, and it said to like, it said your smeller has to be retrained, and you could like smell essential oils and like smell lemon and look at a lemon, things like that.
Did that
Well,
work?
so that finally stopped. However, now when I burn incense, now that triggers it to come back. And then
Mm.
I will smell incense for days. And that's all I smell. It's so weird. So I don't know if that has something to do with that. Like I've not
Yeah.
really picked up smelling weird things like out of the blue, like I've heard people talk about with that Claire.
Mhm.
But yeah, maybe that's something that will start coming online.
I wish
Um,
mine would. I wish mine would kick in. Like I just get
yeah,
random things, and
yeah,
I don't really know what they mean. I have
yeah,
not established a pattern with my 44 and my clairolfactance. I just know they show
right.
up. I don't.
Yeah, yeah.
Um.
And then
So.
I've had in other readings, I've been told I have a really strong truth and lie detector.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so there a lot of things that you're talking about, I have gotten in other readings.
That's very strongly in the 44, is that truth and lie detector. You will be able
Yeah,
to smell out, like with
right.
your third smell, like your third
Yeah,
eye.
yeah, yeah. Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely there.
Um,
Um, yeah. Hold on, let me drink.
so is there anything in my chart? Because I've just done so much, like so many courses on intuitive stuff. And like right now I'm really into the mediumship. Like I've taken like 6 months of classes. I'm
Oh,
reading books. I'm practicing. Like I'm in a
mhm.
lot of mediumship practice groups. And does the chart show anything like that would be something to pursue?
Absolutely. So having the open throat allows you to be more open to being a channel.
Okay.
So having, because you really only have one gate coming off of the throat. So there's the potential for energies to come in. And my immediate like gut reaction when you started talking about cigarette smoke, exhaust smoke, all that is the there if that had been me, I would immediately identify it with smelling a spirit.
Yeah,
But
and that's what other people have told me.
mhm.
Um, so that could be, yeah, that could be.
And the question that you have to, so do you know much about spirit attachments?
Um, I, I, I mean, I've heard talk about it, and I regularly, smudge,
Hmm.
especially if I'm doing like readings or, yeah, clearing my space. So I
Hmm.
try to do that regularly.
So they can attach into space, but they can also attach into your own energetic field.
Right.
And if you are, so my experience with like developing and opening up my intuitive capacities and my ability, like my channel to source, is when that first gets opened up really strongly, I became like a magnet for
Right.
spirit attachments, and they were like clinging on
Right.
me.
Well, and
Like,
part of the mediumship practice, I mean, we're turning up our light to purposely attract, you
mhm.
know. So, yeah, and I feel like in those classes they don't talk enough about, protecting yourself and like sending those telling them to leave your field and sending that energy back, and
Yeah,
I
you
don't feel like
can't.
there's enough focus on that.
Yeah, you can't let them stick to you because they will literally have physical ramifications for you. The
Yeah.
more, and I'm still clearing them. I'm still
Yeah.
I've cleared hundreds of them.
So
And I
how do you do that? Like, what's your method of doing?
um it really depends. I've found many different ways that they've been able to clear.
Yeah.
I first discovered them doing Reiki 1 training. Have you done Reiki training?
Yes, I've done all
Okay.
3 levels.
Oh,
Yeah.
awesome. So
Yeah.
so when I did my Reiki 1, my first attunement didn't even take because I had so many spirit attachments on me.
Oh gosh.
And so the instructor like pulled off 5 of them,
Oh
like
wow.
5 sets of them. Um,
Wow.
some of them that I brought from a previous life, um, and some that I brought from childhood.
Mm-hmm.
So that getting that attunement, and then the second time they tried the attunement, it actually worked.
Okay.
The more that I am able to practice Reiki and bring Reiki into my existence on a regular basis, the more that so my when I did Reiki 2, I haven't done Reiki 3 yet. When I did
Okay.
Reiki 2, um my teacher, she was like, well, there's a lot of talk in like Reiki trainings about like shielding yourself, protecting yourself.
Yeah.
And she's
Right.
like, I don't really subscribe to that. And I was like, tell me more because I don't
Yeah.
like how it feels either. Um,
Right.
and she
Right.
said, because the more that you embody the light and allow
Mhm.
yourself to be a clear channel for the light, the shadow cannot stay.
Right. Right.
So it's been easier and easier now when a spirit comes to me
Hmm.
to just let it move on, to
Yeah.
let it go. And it I can feel it happening in my body. I have like I
Yeah.
shake
Right.
physically, but and I have various I mean, you saw some of like what was happening. It happens with any energies, and it's not always spirit attachments. But
Yeah.
whenever any energy moves through me, I often
Right.
burp, I yawn, I shake.
Yawning. Yeah. Yep.
And it just it lets it move through, and I can kind of feel it go out of the top of my head.
Right. Right.
um so the more that I'm able, because okay, so I have a defined will, and trying to put up an energy shield, like I can do it because I got a defined
Mhm.
will, but it's not
Okay.
good for me, it's not healthy. um
Yeah.
yeah, the more that you can embody your self-worth and shine
Mhm.
your inner light and allow the light to penetrate all of your being,
Mhm.
with the less you're going to be magnetic to them, because you're
Okay.
not going to have because they attach onto your energetic field on your wounds.
Okay.
So where you have wounds is where where there's already darkness, and
Right.
it's where they're able to leech on and
Yeah.
attach onto you. And so the more
Right.
that you can heal those wounds, and this happens, so I when I have chiropractic, like a lot of times, like just the last session I had with him, he's like, "Oh, there went something." I was like, "Yep, I
Oh,
told it to leave."
what
Yeah,
chiropractor do you go to that recognizes that? I want that chiropractor.
he doesn't take any new patients. I'm
Oh gosh. I also
sorry.
want to ask you about
That's
your
why
rate.
I don't know if he would want me to tell who he is.
That's awesome though. I love that. I also want to ask
He
you
doesn't
about your,
reveal that to all his patients.
yeah, that's so cool. I
I'm
also
sorry, I
want to
didn't
ask you about your Reiki teacher because I don't feel like the Reiki training I got, I don't know if it was really
uh, you could
legit.
do it again.
Yeah.
I worked I did my Reiki 1 at the Reiki Center in Columbus.
Oh, okay.
Um and I deeply value what they brought to my life. I mean, it completely
Yeah.
it started this whole chain of events. It brought me to human design. It was everything.
Right. Right.
But my Reiki 2 I did online with a
Okay.
woman named Nancy Windhart.
Okay.
And I really valued her perspectives.
Yeah.
It was a deeply meaningful. I was surprised at how helpful it was and
Yeah.
how effective it was even online, in
Okay.
developing my like skills,
Mhm.
and intuitive abilities. So
Right. So the one in Columbus, did you have to go for like 3 days or like how?
it was a 2-day a weekend workshop.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Is
yeah.
this called the Reiki Center?
Mhm,
Okay.
mhm.
Okay. Huh.
Yeah, and I worked with, oh, what's her name? Linda Haley,
Okay.
was who I worked with, and she's the founder of the Reiki Center. I Yeah, I mean, it's an option. I'm giving you here's something in your universe to respond
Yeah.
to.
Right.
I
Right.
don't know if it's the right thing for you or not. But
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it definitely was helpful to me.
Okay. Because
Um,
I did my Reiki, all of it online, and it was just very, I mean, it was live,
mhm,
but like she attuned us like we weren't live with her when she was attuning us. It just,
mhm.
I
Did
don't
you
know.
feel it?
I mean, kind of, but
Okay.
I didn't know when she was doing it.
Mhm,
And I don't know. It seemed like it was very quick.
mhm,
Um, like I didn't feel like I had enough time to practice in between next levels.
mhm,
And
mhm.
and I just had like my husband and my dogs to practice on. Like
Yeah.
it just, I don't know. I didn't feel like I got the full experience that other people
Mhm.
talk about. And so I don't know.
Um, so there are also classes. I mean, Candace and I think also Jody do Reiki trainings
Oh,
live,
okay.
and at the Center in Medina, where
Okay.
the fair was.
Okay.
And then there are a couple centers in Akron that do Reiki classes live.
Okay.
So if you didn't want to go to
So
Columbus, you
are
could.
they through the Busy Witch? Like I don't know.
No, they're upstairs from the Busy Witch. So Jody is part of Blessed to Bring the Light, and Candace's business is called Elemental Bliss.
Okay.
And I know they both do Reiki training. And Candace does something called Quantum Reiki, and I'm not entirely sure, but I suspect that if you wanted to work with them, the other thing that they do at the Columbus Center, which I'm not sure if Candace or Jody do this, but at the Columbus Center, they will do like Reiki attunement refreshes. And I
Okay.
don't know if you have to have been trained by them to do
Okay.
that.
Okay.
But if you have a Reiki certification and you want to get a reattunement,
Yeah.
um, there are also places that do Reiki shares in the area. There's one in Akron where anyone who is Reiki certified can come and like just practice
Yeah. Yeah.
together to do
Right.
Reiki hands-on.
Right.
Um,
Okay. That's
Oh my gosh,
cool.
it's already 10:54. Yeah, it is cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, so the one thing we have not talked about that I was gonna bring up is one of the other major themes in your chart is this gate 15. You have a lot of major themes coming off of your heart. And the gate 46 is is your place of challenge and where you are options to go into. Let's talk about the 46 real quick. The 46 is all about vitality and embodiment. And so you were talking about the thing that we put in the box and sent to the end of the universe.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so feeling not vital in your own body, feeling not fully embodied, and feeling disembodied,
Right.
because and that is all associated with the 46. This is a place for you to learn and grow and expand.
Mhm.
Um,
Well, the physical health issues is what led me to all the spiritual stuff.
Me too. Me too, because because all the doctors
Yeah.
they weren't fixing it.
Right. Right. Yeah.
They were just kind of deferring.
Yeah.
And my chiropractor who does this energy work, he's like, he looks at my husband and he says, she needs to go get Reiki training.
Ah,
I was like,
okay.
okay, I'll go get Reiki training. Okay, so the 46 is coming again off your heart. And then the 15 is coming off your identity or G center, which is part of the heart chakra. And you've got the 15 in your south node on the conscious side here, and then in your Saturn over here on your 41, which is, I think is really interesting that so you've got 15 here, 52 here, Saturn, 15 here, south node, 52 here. So you kind of got this like cross, which is
Yeah.
really interesting. So there's this there. So the south node is what you need to master in order to bring whatever it is that you bring to the universe, particularly 10 self-love. You need to
Mhm.
master the bigger perspective, your sense of bigger purpose, the 52, and you need to master the 15 is all about compassion,
Mm.
and the 15 is all about being in the flow. The 15 is kind of like the opposite to rhythm. The 5 is all about routine, rhythm, the cycles of nature, spring, summer, winter, fall. The sun comes up, the sun goes down. The 15 is all about, and then comes this ginormous storm that comes through. The waves go up and down and up and down, and suddenly the waves crash. Like the 15 is the crashing waves. The 15 is the over exuberance, overabundance of nature.
Mm.
And being able to ride those waves, ride the intensity of when the flow comes to you. So
Mm.
when you are in the flow, riding with it and not being afraid of it and not being stuck in whatever habits or routines, because part of your point, like in life, what you're bringing to the universe is breaking old patterns.
Mhm.
So letting go of old patterns and riding the flow, riding the intense wave when it comes. So that's both what you need to master, but also because it's in your Saturn, both of these are in your Saturn, they're what you're here to learn.
Mm.
So you're here to learn how to ride the wave, and you're here to learn how to see the big picture, the big perspective, your bigger purpose. And then you're here also to do that in order to master self-love and in order to master your joyful spark, so you have the imagination, an idea spark coming off the root center in the 41, but then the 58 is the same kind of spark, but it's the spark of joy. So this is the 41 is the spark of like imagination and ideas, and the 58 is the spark of joy. And so you're here to enjoy that as you come to learn and express and fully embody a sense of bigger purpose as well as compassionate flow with whatever cycles of the universe, whatever cycles you're being, whatever waves you're riding.
Okay.
So
Cool. Awesome.
that was very, very fun. And
Yeah.
yeah,
A lot of
yeah,
information.
definitely. Do you have any, let's see, it's 11 o'clock. Do you have any last questions?
I don't think so. It's just a lot to digest.
Mhm.
I'll probably listen to the recording a few more times. I usually have to do that because it's just a lot of
Yes.
information. So yeah, thank you. Very
Well,
interesting.
it's nice that you have the open head and ajna, because you can listen to it again and again from different perspectives.
Yes, and hear
And
something new every
mhm.
time.
If you have those defined, it's hard to hear something new. So
Yeah. Have you
it's a
heard of
blessing.
Gene Keys?
Yes, this is actually, so there's a lot of people that use this in conjunction with Gene Keys.
Yeah, because I just
I've not
downloaded
studied them.
yeah, I just downloaded my free chart and was reading through it, and oh man, it was right on. Very similar things
Mhm.
to what this is saying.
It's
So
using all the same, like these are all based, the numbers are all based on I Ching gates, and it's using the same thing. So yeah, some people prefer the Gene Keys vocabulary for the gates over the
okay.
human design.
Yeah.
It's all kind of one big
Yeah.
synthesis. That's also a major theme: innovation and synthesis, bringing things together. That's
Yeah.
where yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you
Cool.
so much.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it. That was
I
fun.
appreciate you. Have a good day.
Yes, thanks. You too. All right. Bye-bye.